morning. Have a strap and a block where you can reach it really easily. We're going to start on our backs and maybe start with your knees bent and your feet on the floor. And then just find yourself kind of getting comfortable on your mat. Draw the shoulders down toward the floor. Let your hands rest on your lower belly. And then feel your feet on the mat. Feel your feet making contact with the earth. Feel your sacrum, your shoulders, maybe the mid-back and shoulders, the back of your head, maybe your elbows and the backs of your arms. All of that making contact with the floor. And then feel the crown of the head reaching one way, the back of the neck nice and long. And start to tap into your breath. Just super easy, nice, easy inhales and exhales, ideally through the nose. As we breathe through the nose, it warms the air before it goes to the lungs, as well as filtering anything that's coming in. Your jaw is soft, your face is soft. And we're going to start a really simple pranayama, a simple breath work here, and it's called the box breath. And all we're going to do is inhale for the count of 4. We're going to hold the breath for the count of 4. Exhale for the count of 4. And then hold the breath at the bottom for the count of 4. Now, for you, if that count is too long, either speed up your count or go to 3 instead of 4. And if there's any reason that holding the breath, pausing for the breath is not good for you, then don't worry about pausing the breath or just hold for 1 second. So I'll walk you through the first couple and then you're going to be on your own. So inhaling, count of 4. Pause. Exhale, count of 4. And pause. Inhale, count of 4. Pause at the top. Exhale, count of 4. And pause. Good, and again. And as you breathe this box breath, this particular pranayama, it's meant to relax, it's meant to calm the nervous system. Notice the quietness between the breaths. Notice that period of pause, that transition between the breath. Good, one more round here. And then start to breathe a little bit more normally. Notice maybe how the whole body quieted down a little bit. And then draw your left knee to chest. Just squeeze it in. If it hurts to compress that knee, always grab behind the knee. A little bit better for that compressive pain that can come when we bend the knee too much. And straighten your right leg really long, really, really long. And breathe. Good, then bring the right knee back into chest, switch sides, stretch your left leg really long. And breathe. Inhale, left leg in. Right leg long, right arm long, all the way overhead. Bring those two in, switch sides. Good, and switch. Breathe, reaching right arm, right leg, just stretching the body like a full body yawn, and switch. And release both knees to chest, squeeze them both in, both feet back to the floor. Take your feet nice and wide on your mat. The arms come to cactus pose. If that's hard on the shoulders, then just lower those arms a little bit and start to windshield wiper the legs, going to one side and then the other side. Starting to just warm up through our bodies, particularly the lower bodies. We're going to be playing a bit with hamstrings today. And so, nothing is alone in the body, as nothing is alone in the world. And so if our hips are tight, if our torso's tight, if our quads are tight, the hamstrings aren't going to give up any movement. So it's a full body exercise. Good, one more, both sides. Stretching it out, just starting to move. And then bring those feet back to center, bring the knees, bend the knees, bring your right knee to chest, grab your strap, and take that strap around your right foot. You're holding on to it with both hands, one side of the strap in each hand, and then I want you to really press your shoulders down to the floor. It doesn't matter how high up your leg is. And in fact, if your hamstrings are super tight, you've got a little bend in the knee until those legs warm up a little bit. But pull the shoulders back down to the floor and a tiny little squeeze with your belly. And then bend your knee and straighten it up to the ceiling. Good, let's do 4 more. Bend it and straighten it. And when you straighten it, just notice where you feel the stretch, where you feel your back leg starting to stretch. Is it more inside? Is it more outside? Good. Last one here. That might have been 5 instead of 4. And then hold the leg up. Grab the strap with your right hand. I want you to wrap the strap around the outside of your ankle to the inside of your ankle. So you're just wrapping that ankle. And if you start with your right hand, go around the outside, go to the inside, and then hold that strap with your right hand and allow your leg to externally rotate. So we're tapping in. The hamstrings have 3 different heads, and we're tapping into those 3 different heads. So 1, just stay here and kind of check that out. Or 2, bend the knee. So that knee's going to go to the outside of your shoulder and straighten it up again. There you go. And bend it and straighten. Good. 3 more. Bend and straighten. And just feel, maybe it's an easier stretch, maybe it's a harder stretch, depending on where you're tight. And then hold the leg up, squeeze the belly down, keep the hips level, and stay here or straighten out your left leg. So that's going to deepen your stretch. You've pretty wrapped up here with the ankle. I'm even supporting my knee with my arm a little bit. I'm holding the strap pretty close to the inner knee. And I just want to see what kind of stretch I can feel there without going too far. There's a yoga teacher who's also a chiropractor, Lee Alpert, and he said when we stretch the body, we really should aim for 75% of our stretch, not 100%. I found that really interesting that he says we can overstretch easily. So we're just checking it out. Maybe the leg will extend a little bit more. Maybe the back of the knee will open up a little bit more. Good. And then soften the strap, release it. You've got the strap in both hands again. Wrap it around the inside. So grab the strap with your left hand. Sorry, bend your left knee, by the way. Wrap that strap around the inside ankle to the outside ankle, and then hold it with your left hand again. Right hand, right arm's on the floor. So you're internally rotating your leg. Your toes should be pointing inside. You're giving that strap a pretty good pull, but be mindful, right? And breathe. Just notice, and here I want you to flex your foot. And notice how that deepens your stretch. Just breathe. Good, then stay here or straighten your left leg again, deepening the stretch, feeling this lovely hamstring. Maybe you feel more of the stretch on that inner line of hamstring instead of the outer line. And so we start to think about stretching the hamstrings and where we stretch those fibers, right? Most of us go pretty straight on, pretty straight line when we stretch the hamstrings, but I wonder in your body if you tend to lean to the outer hamstring or the inner hamstring. Good, one more nice deep breath, maybe open up the back of the knee a little bit more. And exhale, bend your left knee, release your strap, hold it right to the middle and walk the strap up to the ball mound of your foot. And then pull down. Holy moly, that feels pretty tight this morning. So getting more into the Achilles, the calf muscles, and maybe the lower hamstrings. Good, release, bend your knee. Woo, straighten that leg all the way down to the floor. Straighten your left leg and just see if you feel a little bit of a difference there, one side to the other. Maybe windshield wiper your feet and bend both knees. Good, let's go to the other side. Left knee comes to chest, that left foot comes up toward the ceiling. The right foot stays on the floor. Just so we can explore a little bit more gently what we're doing with the hamstring. Good, and then just notice, so here I want you to bend the knee and straighten it. Good, and bend and straighten. Maybe there's a little space behind your lower back. Straighten it, two more right here, and straighten. Good, last one. And straighten it and hold that for a moment and just feel that, right? Even play with your ankles here. You can internally and externally rotate the ankles. You're pronating and supinating, right? Feeling that. And then grab the strap with your left hand. Wrap it around the outside ankle. Wrap it to the inside ankle. And then grab it with the left hand again. And allow the left leg to externally rotate. Toes are pointing out, knees pointing out, hip line is rotating, externally rotating. Feel that lovely stretch. You can feel, right, the tighter areas here. And then bend and straighten the knee for 5. Good. And bend. Straighten. And bend it. Knees going to the outside, kind of a little bit more like happy baby. And up, good, one more time right here, breathe. Woo, hold that external rotation and either stay here, that's plenty enough stretch, there's your 75%, or straighten your right leg. Soften the shoulders to the floor, nice little tone to the low belly here, just a little support for this pose. If you've straightened your right leg and it's too much, maybe come halfway back and see how that feels for you. Ooh, maybe open up the back of the left knee a little bit more. Oh yeah. Breathe. And then bend your right knee. Let that foot come back on the floor. Release the strap. Your foot comes back to neutral. And then do the same thing, opposite side. Wrap the inside ankle. Pull the strap around the outside ankle. Keep holding it with your left hand. Maybe your left arm helps support your knee a little bit. Feel that internal rotation. Ooh, right? So picking up the little different fibers all in the back of this leg. It's quite an interesting thing. And you'll notice internal rotation versus external rotation for you, right? Where do your hips tend to point? All right, one, stay here. Two, straighten the right leg again. Flex your left foot. Feel that deeper stretch. Big deep breath. Maybe open up the back knee a little bit more, right? A little straighter leg. Try to ground both hips. Good. One more breath right here. Good, and release. Take that strap back to the center. Your right leg can be straight or it can be bent. Walk the strap up to the ball mound of your left foot and pull the strap straight down. Keep grounding the hips. Don't round into your lower back. Try not to flatten it all the way. Ooh, yeah. And release it. Bend that knee. Set your strap aside. Straighten both legs and just check it out. Just check out one side to the other side. Good, and then from here, pretend you're in mountain pose. So square both legs, both feet pointing straight ahead. Press the big toe mounds out and squeeze everything to the center. Feel yourself almost lift off the floor by doing so. Good, keep reaching. Don't hyperextend the legs, don't hyperextend the knees. My knees are lifted off the floor a little bit. Take the arms, press the upper arms, forearms, or upper arms and elbows into the floor. Press the shoulders, keep squeezing the legs. Your fingertips are pointing up to the ceiling. Good, crown of the head is long. All sides of the neck are equal. This should feel like work. I am squeezing the heck out of my legs, my glutes, my belly. Good. Push your right leg down, your right heel down. Lift your left foot just a couple of inches. Keep everything active. And lower your left heel. Take the right heel up just a couple of inches. Keep squeezing everything. And lower down and then let everything go. Ooh, circle those ankles. Bend your left knee, bring your knee to chest. Take the leg up to the ceiling. Notice that hamstring may be a little bit more open. Bend the knee and straighten it out. Bring the right knee to chest. Straighten it up to the ceiling. Bend that knee. Bring it all the way back down to the floor. And let's come back to this supine mountain pose. Back of the head is neutral. The legs are active, the toes are pointing straight up. You're digging into the back of your heels. The elbows come to your side body. That part's really not mountain pose, but it gives our upper body something to press onto. Good, squeeze your glutes. Press your arms into the floor. Feel the heels dig and then really press your right heel down. Lift your left leg down. And breathe. Press your left arm down, lift your right arm. So a little bit of brain work here. I've got my left leg lifted and my right arm lifted. I'm pressing down my right heel, pressing down my left heel. Squeeze your belly, everybody. Good, lower the arm, lower the leg. Keep all that activity happening. If you can, push into your left heel, lift your right heel, press into your right arm. Lift your left arm, whoo, and breathe. Is it just me here, right? This feels like more work than it should. And lower everything down, point and flex and circle those ankles. And then bend both knees. Good, bring both knees to chest. Take your hands behind your head. This is all you core people out here. Good, I want you to take your knees to 90 degrees. I love core work, you know that. So here we go. I want you to lift your upper body. Be mindful, not pulling on your head. I just want you to lift and let your head rest in your hands. Elbows toward the side body. You're looking up at the ceiling. Squeeze up the core even more. See if you can lift your torso even more, not pulling on your head, right? Just letting the head rest in the hands. Good, and then tap one heel and the other heel. If this is too much, just lower your upper body. Don't let the knees come past your hip points when you're lifting back up. Keep the core engaged the whole time. Are you with me? Are you with me there? Hang in there. Whew. And breathe for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold on, hang on. Right elbow to left knee, right leg extends out. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch. Whew. Left elbow, right knee. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch. 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch. For 3, 2, 1. Switch. 3, 2, 1. You know where we're going next. For 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. 1 and 1 and lower down. Knees to chest. Good, both feet on the floor. Take the feet together. Your hands just rest on your belly or out in cactus pose. And just lower your left knee to the floor. So it's going out to the side. Your right knee is staying pointed up. Good, breathe. Relax your jaw, especially if it got tight for that core work. Take the arms to cactus pose. Find your breath here. And then just lift your left leg off the floor. So you've lifted your heel. You've lifted the knee. So the whole leg, you're just hanging out on that left hip. My right hip is even lifted a little bit off the floor. I'm just hanging out on the left hip and breathe. Notice this, right? And then just see if you can slide the left knee up toward your elbow and then bring it back down, but keep it lifted. And squeeze it up and lower. It's still lifted. Squeeze it up toward the elbow, which is just resting in cactus pose, and lower back, and then hold that knee again and see if you can lift the whole leg up toward the ceiling, still in this externally rotated position. Good, and 2 more. Just lift up and lower. 1 more. Squeeze it up, working that inner thigh, right? Hamstring wraps right next to the inner thigh, and lower it all the way to the floor. And breathe. Isn't it so bad? Good. Take that left knee up toward the ceiling. Both feet come back together. Lower your right knee to the floor. It's just out to the side. You're just checking it out here. Don't do anything in particular yet. Your left foot is flat on the floor, so don't let the knee sway out to the side. You're pressing into your left knee or left foot. And then lift your whole right leg off the floor. Just let it hover. And notice that, right? If this hurts, by the way, don't do it. Change the angle or lower it back to the floor. You know that. Good. From here, arms are in cactus pose. You're simply going to slide along an imaginary table. Try to bring that knee up toward the elbow and then lower it down. And then squeeze it up and lower. 1 more right here. Squeeze it up and lower so that it's back in its original position, yet hovering. And then try to lift it toward the ceiling. Don't lift the heel or the knee. Keep it somewhat level and lower. Good. 2 more. Just squeeze it up and lower it down. 1 more. Squeeze it up and lower it all floor. And bring that knee back to center. Draw both knees toward chest. Good, roll over to one side. Oh, and come on up. Those legs should feel pretty warm right now. I want you to grab your blocks, 1 or 2. You're gonna sit on top of them and they're gonna be in this configuration. Either you can use 1 or 2. And if that's too low, then you're gonna stack one on top of the other. So just set them on your mat side by side, just gives you a nice wide base, and then sit on top of those blocks. If your legs are comfortable, just, allow the sit bones or allow to kind of hover off the edge there a little bit and brings the pelvis forward and we can sit in crossed legs. If that doesn't work for you, you know who you are. Legs are bent but straight in front of you. All right, roll your shoulders. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, take your left hand to the floor. It's going to be a little bit further reach. Stretch out through the right arm. Good. Push off. Inhale, up. Exhale. Reach, reach, reach. And up. Take it back to the left. Reach the left hand down. Stretch the right leg or right arm long. And inhale. Last one. Last side. Stretch nice and deep. And inhale. Both arms to cactus pose. I want you to twist to the left and breathe. And then let the hands come down. Your right hand comes to your left leg. The left hand comes to those blocks. And I want you to press into the block gently with your left hand. Good. And notice, just feel that nice twist. Take a deep breath here. Good. As you release, cactus arms. Bring them center, twist to the right. Let your left hand come to your right knee and your right hand just presses easily into your block behind you. Good, feel the twist, but don't collapse down, right? Keep the chest lifted, keep the spine long. And release, come center, and exhale. Good, and then keep your strap near you just in case. I don't think we're going to need it, but just in case, I want you to take your right leg straight. And I want you to take your left leg kind of out to the side a little bit, wherever it feels comfortable for you. Not straight, ideally, your foot on the floor, but somewhere where you can be comfortable sitting this way. And then lift up really tall, flex the heck out of your right foot and start to come forward a little bit. Now here's where a strap might come in. I don't really want you heading down toward your knee. It's not about that, but if you wrap your foot with the strap, you might be able to get a little bit more purchase on that hamstring. For me, I prefer my hands just to be on the floor. I'm going to draw the shoulders back, make the collarbones nice and wide, little squeeze of the belly. Press your heel, your right heel into the floor. Engage that leg and don't let the back of your right knee drop down to the floor and hyperextend. Good. And just check it out. So we've already warmed up the hamstrings, so this might not feel like a whole bunch, but I want you to explore here. So we start here, right? Finding our maybe 75% stretch. I kind of like that. It feels more middle way, not quite middle, but more middle way instead of those extreme stretches. And then take the body up a little bit, slide the foot out, maybe 2 or 3 inches out to the right, and then come on back down again. My left leg is pretty comfortable, but I'm not letting it splay out. I'm trying to keep it up. And so I'm actually using my left upper arm as a buffer for my left leg to keep it in line. And then stretch again. And notice if you feel anything different. You might not. All right, take the body up, slide the right leg even more out to the right. Try to keep the torso somewhat long, right? Try not to round into your lower back. Sitting up on the blocks allows our pelvis to anteriorly tilt so that we have a little bit more room to play here. Good, one more out to the side. That's going to be up to you how far you go. Keep some energy in the foot, into the leg, into the muscle, right up to the hip. Good, breathe. Just notice. All right, lift the body up, listen up. Here's where I found this most interesting for me in my body is slide that heel back to neutral, but then slide it across the midline. So your left leg is still bent, and then take the torso forward again and feel that lovely outer hip stretch. Keep some energy in the right foot. Don't let the leg get lazy. The muscles are active. Ooh, yeah. Right through this outside leg, outside hip. Your other leg can be where it's comfortable. Keep drawing the hip socket back or the femur back into the hip socket. And come on up. Whew. Slide that heel back to center. Bring the other heel back. With it, both legs straight, but the knees are soft, and just lift the torso. Press your hands either into your block or into the floor, a variation of Dandasana. Good, bend both legs, walk your right foot out, straighten your left leg. I can't say enough to watch that knee joint. Don't let that knee hyperextend behind you. If anything else, put a pillow, blanket or block underneath if your tendency is to go there. All right, so leg is straight in front of you, left leg, torso is nice and lifted, strap or no strap, completely up to you. Your hands come to the floor, your torso gets long, the collarbones get wide, the foot's flexed. And breathe. So of the hamstrings, of the different muscles of the hamstring, 2 of them wrap to the outer knees. Or to the outer and inside knees. And so sometimes we'll have knee issues and we're not sure what it is. And it can actually be, like for me, a medial hamstring that tugs on the medial knee. And so stretching that medial line can really be important, right? We always think of the hamstrings as straight on, but it isn't. All right, so slide that heel out a couple of inches, 2-3 inches. Check out that angle. See how that feels for you. Breathe. Good, slide them out a few more inches. Just check that one out. Where can you feel that? Can you keep the sit bone really grounded so that you're not leaning off the center line of the sit bone, so that we can keep playing with the hamstrings? Good, one more slide out to the side. Check that out. This is where it gets deeper for me, inner thigh stretch. I mean, the beauty of yoga, we know this, right, is that everybody's body is different. And so everybody's going to feel different things in different ways at different angles. I read this awesome article this morning, and it compared yoga to a recipe. Good, I want you to slide that leg all the way through center, take it to the inside, and stretch the torso forward. And it said, although you have to be much more careful with changing up your yoga poses, creating these variations, these ideas, it is much like a recipe in that you have the standard pose, but then you can find all of these cool variations by sprinkling in a little more of this, a little bit more of that, to find different ways to practice. I really like that analogy. All right, come on up, everybody. Whew. Bring the legs forward. Straighten out the right leg. Flex both feet. The heels dig in, the knees are soft, and maybe come to a forward fold. Please be mindful here, especially my low back folks. I would rather see you upright than rounded all the way forward with a big round in your low back. Good, breathe, dig those heels into the floor, keep the legs active. And come on up, bend both knees. Whew. Good. So I know some of you have some knee issues, especially with the bend, so keep them a little bit softer and just lean forward and take the elbows inside your knees and so that your knees and your elbows press. Now, some of you can bend the knees a little bit more squat-ish, right? Elbows to knees, knees to elbows, push in, hands are together in prayer pose. Breathe, right? Squeeze those inner thighs, make them work. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, I feel like a frog. And 1, and release. Want you to come to standing. Now, if you're here and your knees are happy and healthy, you can try coming into a deep squat and standing from here. Otherwise, I want you to come up in the way that makes the most sense for you. Let's take your blocks to the front of your mat. We're going to need them. And find a really solid mountain pose. Feet are grounded, shoulders are back, hips are active. You're not popping out through the backs of your knees, those of you who do. And just notice, right? Nice and tall, and then take the arms up. Squeeze the belly in, lengthen through your waist. Maybe reach one side arm up and the other side arm up. So less side bend, more reach up and find some space there. And then as you exhale, hands come to heart, hips slide back. You reach down and you come into a nice forward fold, nice and easy, right? Take your hands to your blocks if you have your blocks. The elbows draw to the center so they're not splaying out. The hamstrings are reaching up, the knees are soft. I want you to bend the knees more than you would think. And then try to reach the sit bones up to the ceiling. Keep the knees bent. Some of you are going to find a really awesome hamstring stretch here by bending the knees, right? As opposed to that straighter version of it, because we're kind of making the attachments around the knees more stationary. Good, big deep breath. Really reach up. See if we can get to these upper fibers of the hamstrings. And then straighten the legs more if you want, and walk your blocks out as far as you can reach with your arms and still feel solid on your feet. And then pull back isometrically on the blocks to lengthen your torso, to find this big stretch of your body. Couple more breaths right here. Maybe pull your left hip back a little bit and then bring it to center. Maybe pull the right hip back a little bit and then back to center. And then walk those blocks back up toward your mat. Hands come to the floor. Soften your knees and step back, right leg. Lower your right knee to the floor. Squeeze your belly. And inhale, reach the arms up. Good, exhale, take it down. Lift your right knee, step back, downward facing dog. Once you're here, pedal those feet. Stretch out those legs. Back of the legs should be feeling pretty awesome right now. Come all the way up on your tippy toes and lower down to your knees. Sit back in child's pose just for a brief moment. And then come right back up to table pose, to downward facing dog, to right foot forward. Good, lower your left knee. Inhale, reach the arms up. Stretch everything out. Exhale your hands to the floor. Lift your knee, hold, and then push off your back foot, your back to your forward fold. Bend the knees, lengthen the sit bones up toward the ceiling. That's it, hands to knees, and come all the way up to standing. And roll your shoulders, check that out. How did that feel for you, right? Did you feel that little bit of stretch and open? It's like taffy, right? Like warming up taffy after it's been sitting in the cold for a while. All right, here we go. Inhale, reach up. Exhale all the way down. Soften your knees, lift the sit bones. Good, find that pose, a little squeeze to the belly. Watch that you're not cranking on your neck. Take your blocks, walk them all the way out. Stretch out the torso. Maybe reach your left hip back and center. Reach your right hip back and center. Soften the shoulders away from your ears. And then with your hands on your blocks, just tilt the blocks back toward you a little bit. So they're just sitting on edge there. And breathe. Keep reaching the legs. Keep those knees soft, everybody. Good. And then walk those blocks right back toward your mat. Hands come to the floor. Soften your knees. Step back, right leg. Lower your right knee to the floor. Optional, of course. Inhale, reach up. And find this stretch. And then push off your front leg. Watch that down knee. Watch that right knee. Push off your left legs to stretch the right hamstring more. So come in a little more 90-90. Breathe. Exhale, hands to the floor. Lift your right knee. Hold that sweet little lunge for a moment. Step back, downward facing dog. Pedal the feet, spread the fingers. Open up the collarbones, everybody. Good, inhale to your tippy toes. Exhale, down to your knees. Scoop back into a really nice long child's pose. And then come right back up, table pose. Flip those toes under. Lift into downward facing dog. Squeeze your belly. And when you're ready, right foot forward. Lower your left knee to the floor. Oh, nice stretch. Inhale, take it up. And breathe. Feel that yummy stretch of the quad, right? And then back off your right foot, your right knee a little bit to come more straight up with the left leg. Breathe, find the pose. And exhale, take it down, lift that knee off the floor, push off your back leg, step forward. Bend both knees, inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands come to heart. And find mountain pose. And just notice, right? Notice how that all felt as we start to shake it out and breathe. All right, you're still at the front of your mat. Inhale, reach up. Exhale all the way down. Soften your knees, step back to downward facing dog. And then lower both knees to the floor and grab one of your blocks. So this will be a little tricky at first, but I want you to see where your right knee is and take your block so that your right knee is underneath the block, right where it would normally be, and then step forward with your left foot. Good. From here, come into a deeper lunge. So walk your left foot out forward as much as you need to find your good alignment, front knee, front ankle. Your hands are on the floor. If that's too low, grab your other block and just let your hands rest on the block. And kind of notice, right now we've got that knee lifted. We're feeling the stretch. We're finding our breath. Breathe, and then bend your knee and bring your heel toward your glute. Engaging hamstring. Maybe your left foot walks out forward a little more. Maybe the front left or front right hip drops a little bit more. But remember, at most, that 75%. As we stretch, quadricep. Good, release that leg. Maybe walk your left heel back a little bit. And when you're ready, lift your right knee off your block. Hold that pose, one, drop it back down. You're gonna come back to a low lunge, but this time your knee's on the block. Or two, keep that knee lifted. Walk your hands to your left knee. Lift your chest. Good, lift your right arm. Lift your left arm. Oh, find your breath, squeeze your belly. That's it. And slowly, slowly, slowly lower everything down. Lower your knee to the block. Slide your left leg back. Notice how that little bit of height gave you a little more room. And take the block out. Good, just shake it out. Just breathe. And let's go to the other side. So check out, so I find if I go to table pose 4 first, I see where my left knee is. And then I just lift it out of the way and put the block there. Then I know I'm in pretty decent alignment. From here, walk the right foot forward. And notice. Oh, we're in a lunge. Engage the left glute. Maybe walk the right foot out forward a little bit more. You can relax your back toes. You can have your hands on your other block if the floor is a little too low. Breathe. Maybe you walk the right foot out more. Go down lower. Keep the left glute squeezing. Keep that stretch of the left front hip manageable. Good, find your breath. And then walk the right foot back a little bit. Take your hands to your knee. Lift up. Stretch it out. Good, hands to the floor, bend your back knee. Find your front knee alignment. Squeeze it in. Getting a lot of activity here. That front left hip can drop some just to stretch more, only if you want, right? I'm not going to 100%, but I'm pretty close to 70 there, 75. You know, getting a really nice stretch on that quadricep muscle. Speaking of, you know, the heads of muscles, quadricep has 4. So we breathe. Good. Release that foot. Walk your right foot back to alignment. Optionally lift your left leg. Squeeze the legs toward each other. Take your hands to your knee. Your knee can be down, by the way. Left knee can be down. Take the left arm up. Take the right arm up. Keep that back foot training straight forward so you're not going to the outside or the inside. And exhale. Lower your left knee to the block. Slide your right leg back. Move your the block out of the way. Take your knees nice and wide and come on back to child's pose. And breathe. And feel those legs. Right, you're going, why is that funny? It's so, I mean, I love yoga's ability to get us to tap into our bodies and clear our heads. I don't think about anything else when I'm teaching yoga. I don't worry about anything else. I just tap into what my body is feeling. All right, everybody, come on up. Table pose. Plant your hands. Lift your knees, downward facing dog. Pedal the feet. Take your feet to the edges of your mat. So pinky toes to the edges of your mat. If you look at your feet are otherwise parallel, so big toes are pointing straight ahead. And then roll your upper outer shoulders externally to widen your collarbones, widen your shoulders, squeeze your belly. And then lift your sit bones again. It is really subtle. Keep the knees somewhat soft. Lift the sit bones, stretching that upper attachment. The hamstrings attach to the sit bones. No surprise there, right? And then come forward, bend the knees, and either tap or hover. And then lift your sit bones, your hips. Reach back to down dog, wide leg down dog, soft knees, lifted sit bones. And then tippy toes, forward, down, knees tap. Good, we got 3 more. Slow, slow, slow. Reach back. Don't forget about the hands. Lift the sit bones, it's imperceptible. And then lean forward, bend your knees, tap down. Good, last one, lift, press, reach back, lift the sit bones. Come forward, bend the knees, lower them all the way to the floor. And either hero pose or child's pose. Once you're there, maybe curl out your wrists, your fingers, right? They can get overextended, really, in yoga. They can overreach as we're pressing into the floor. That's it. All right. How y'all doing out there? I wish I could see you. All right. So table pose. Step forward, right leg. Lift your left knee. Push off your back foot. Step forward, forward fold. Bend your knees and come all the way up to standing. And shake it out. Roll it out. Do all those good things. And then grab your blocks and place them maybe second level at the front of your mat. Just at the front of your mat. Actually, I'm sorry, I want to do one other thing before we do those. So set them just above your mat so they're out of the way. Come into a forward fold and step back to downward facing dog. Now, make sure you've got a nice solid down dog. And then just step your left foot a little forward, like a foot length, like your foot length or a foot and a half length. And try to press into that foot, into that heel. You can bend the knee as much as you need to. And keep the torso from coming forward. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel one heck of a stretch for the whole back of my left leg. I'm on the tippy toes of my right foot or the ball mound of my right foot. You can soften the knees as much as you need to here to make this happen. But then feel what's happening in your left leg. Not just the straight on muscle of the hamstring, but maybe the outer line, maybe the inner line. Maybe you very gently move the hips side to side to feel that big old stretch. And then bend your left knee. Step back, down dog, and go to the opposite side. Right foot just slides up about a foot's length. You're on the ball mound of your left. Your right knee, left knee can be bent as much as they need to. Your head, everything, upper body is doing what it should be doing, right? Good solid support. Feel that shift side to side. Feel the outer, middle, inner lines of the hamstrings, maybe into the calf, maybe down through the Achilles. And then bend both knees. Whew. And bring the right foot back. And then walk your hands back to your feet. And come on up. Oh. Shake it out. Shake out the wrists, everybody. Now come up to your blocks. So I've got my blocks up at the second level. If those seem too high for you, you can drop it down to the first level. But then come on down, forward fold, and let your hands come to your blocks. Your hands are about shoulders width apart. Your feet are walked back just enough so that your hips and ankles line up in a nice, sweet little line, or so that you're in the center of your feet, because sometimes you can't quite tell where your body is. But if you're in your heels, you're too far back. If you're in your big toe mounds, you're too far forward. So just come really straight. Open up the collarbones. Upper body is nice and solid. Belly is toned. You're going to shift the weight into your left foot and start to slide your right foot back until you're on your big toe of your right foot, and that right foot is down or is back behind you. And you're just going to see what happens when you lean into your left heel, front foot heel, versus center, versus forward, okay? So center of your left foot, the heel of your left foot, I'm shifting my body, center and ball mound, and then find center. And squeeze your belly and press into your hands and lift your chest. And then if you want, lift your right leg and breathe. Don't let your left foot collapse. Don't drop into your inner ankle. Stay in the center line of your foot. Try to get your toes pointing down toward the floor. Release your right hand and reach it back along your left hip. So you're just reaching back. Lift the left shoulder away from the floor. Press into that leg. All of that optional, by the way. And lower your hand, slide the left leg or right leg back down, bend both knees, and come on up. And roll your shoulders. Shake out your hands. Now it's warm. When I started, it was chilly. Now it's warm. All right. That's side one. We got one more side. Thank goodness we don't have more than two sides. All right, nice deep hinge from your hips, everybody. Come on down, soft back of the knees. Your hands come to those blocks again. And you're checking out your alignment, right? You're making sure you're centered with your ankles right below your hips. Your knees can be soft as they need to be here. Shift into your right foot and slide your left foot back until it will no longer go back without you lifting. I'm on my big toe of my left foot. And then again, gently, I'm going to explore what happens when I reach back into my heel and then center and then ball mound, whoop, and then center. And then back into the heel and center and the ball mound. A lot of work there, right? And then come back into the center of your right foot. Actually roll the right hip back a little bit so the knee stays centered. And when you're ready, if you're ready, lift your left leg. Tone the belly in. Lengthen your whole torso so you're not just dropping into your lower back. And when you're ready, if you're ready, the right arm reaches back toward the hip. The shoulder moves away from the floor. The right leg pushes into the floor. The hamstring gets long. The back of the knee stays soft. That's it. And lower your hand. Lower your leg. Oh. Soften both knees. Move your blocks out of the way. Just come into a regular old forward fold. Deep breath. Shaking it out. Good. Plant your hands. Walk your feet back to down dog. Lower your knees to the floor. Step your right foot forward. Take your hands to your blocks. Bend your back knee. Bring your heel to your glutes. So here's the other thing, right? Hamstrings. We do stretch hamstrings a lot in yoga. I think that it's important to be mindful that we do all stretching, that we don't do all stretching and no strengthening. And something as simple as bringing your heel toward your glute is strengthening your hamstring. So we're rebalancing all that stretching that we just did. So option number one, stay here. If you cramp, by the way, which is easy to do, just release it. Option number two is to leave your left hand on your block. Reach your right arm forward. Reach that right arm up to the sky. Feel your torso twist. As you move that arm back, maybe you find your foot, maybe you don't. It's not about that, right? Maybe you're here with the arm stretched out and the leg bent to your level. Oh, maybe you grab the foot. Deeper stretch for the quad. That's it. Breathe, 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 everybody. And release. Take the right hand back. Carefully lower your heel back to the floor, your foot back to the floor. Scoot both hips back. And switch sides. Right knee back, left knee forward. Hands are to your blocks. We find our breath. Good. When and if you're ready, bend your back knee. So we'll talk about that later, but knee issues, right, can really keep us from doing a lot of things. And that's why we just look for those sweet little variations. What can I do to achieve the same thing without doing harm? Good. Breathe, everybody. One, you're here. I'm squeezing in, by the way, pretty good, so you should be too now. Or come on out, that's enough. Or three, reach the left hand forward. Squeeze the belly in. Lift the left hand way up. Find that twist in your torso. Maybe the foot is within reach, maybe not. Whew. Stretching out the quadricep, engaging the hamstring, front leg, back leg. It's all on purpose, right? There's just such beauty to the body when we think about it. Good, couple more breaths right here. And lower, release. Slide both hips back. Move your blocks out of the way. And come on down to your bellies. Oh, hallelujah. And breathe. So spread the hips wide. Press down through the sit bones. Leave your upper body relaxed. Bend just your right leg. Take that right leg to 90 degrees. Push into your right side hip and lift your right knee. And breathe. And then lower that down, straighten the leg. Bend your left. Flex your foot. You can squeeze it into start if you want. And then bring that to 90. Press into your left hip bone and lift the left knee. And breathe. And lower it down. Straighten both legs. You're going to take your right knee and just turn toward the inside right knee. And then slide the right knee, right leg out to the side. So my leg's on the floor. And I'm resting on that inner right knee, inner right lower leg. And I'm just going to hang out here. If this hurts your inner knee, put something under it like a blanket, pillow, part of your mat, or scoot over on your mat so that knee stays supported. And just breathe here for a moment. The right knee can slide out to the right, but what you're not wanting to do is push the hips to the floor. For some of you, your right hip's going to be pretty high up off the floor. For some of you, you're going to be pretty flat there. If you're still good, just reach your left arm forward and let your forehead rest on your right hand. And just breathe, just relax. Just let gravity take this stretch. And then relax your left arm. Slide your right knee back down. Both legs are straight. And then the same thing on the left side, just slide it out to the left. Resting on that inner right or inner left leg. I'll get it straight. Just notice. Does one side feel tighter than the other? If you're still good, take the right arm forward. Let your forehead rest on your arm, your left arm. See if you can relax your left side hip toward the floor. And release your right arm. Release your left leg. Hold there. Bend both knees. Take the feet together. So it's just, you're not Baddha Konasana, the feet. Is that a word? You're just taking the sides, the big toe sides of your feet together. And then walk your knees out to the side. And maybe you come to the soles of the feet. Maybe not. Be mindful if this hurts your hips, don't do it. It's kind of a reverse Baddha Konasana. Take a deep breath. And play with where the legs are. Maybe they're closer to the floor. Maybe they're closer to your hips. Just notice. And then keep the legs wide, but separate the feet. Oh, think happy baby. Upside down. Big deep breath. Good. Release the legs. Walk them in. Come up to your elbows. Watch your low back. Sphinx pose. Stretching out those legs, everybody. And then something I just love to do, I think it's so good for our backs, as long as we're mindful, is to take the hands more to the sides. You can take them as wide as you want and just play with any version of a back bend that you can find. You might be low, you might be just low, like here. And just seeing if you can find some extension of the spine. You might be big, right? As you lift up, stretching the belly. I mean, how often do we stretch the belly? And lowering down. Good. And then one more. Find a sweet spot. Maybe you come into a traditional Sphinx pose. Maybe you come into a more traditional Cobra pose. Right. And lower all the way down. And turn on to one side as you make your way onto your backs. Plant your feet, lift your hips, elbows, upper arms to your sides, just a little bridge pose, bringing everything back to center. Press into your upper arms, press into your shoulders, press into your feet. Try to push your feet away from you a little bit. See how that feels. Try to pull the heels closer to you. See how that feels. Find your breath here. And lower down all the way to the floor. Draw your knees to your chest. Keep your right leg in, stretch your left leg. Breathe, smile. Good, switch sides. Bring your left in, stretch your right. Bring both in. Take your hands underneath your sacrum. Take both legs up to the ceiling. Just soften the upper body, just a simple inversion here. Your hands under sacrum are just there to support your low back. Breathe. And then bend your knees. Reach those arms inside your legs. If you can, you're grabbing outside feet to happy baby. If that doesn't work, just grab your ankles and draw down. If even that doesn't really work, take your arms outside, wrap them around the outside of your knees to the inside and hold that variation. That's kind of sweet. If you normally do your feet, maybe try that. Just your arms are wrapped around the backs of your knees. Rock side to side. Come to center. Notice what is contracting or what is touching the earth and what is not. Come back to your breath. And in this crazy little pose, come back to that boxed breath for 3 rounds. Just simply inhaling to the count of 4. Pausing at the top. Exhaling, count of 4. Pause. And then 2 more rounds on your own. Release your breath. Bring your knees to your chest. Stretch one leg super long, super long. And stretch the other leg really long. Oh. Let the arms be wherever they are comfortable as you come to Shavasana. As you start to settle into Shavasana, make it comfortable. Find your breath. Let your body settle fully onto your mat, and as thoughts come in, just let them go. Maybe as you deepen your Shavasana, you find just the softest smile, even if it's an internal smile. So that we send that message, those endorphins, to the body. Feel your soft breath. Soften. Deepen this moment, this pose of surrender. Begin to bring your awareness back. Know that you can always stay in Shavasana. And just feel your breath deepen and notice that maybe it's easier to take a deep breath even here. Start to wiggle your toes and your fingers. Draw your knees to your chest, rocking side to side, allowing the knees to roll to one side or the other, and pressing all the way back up to your seated pose.